I haven't really talked about it a lot on the podcast, but I am writing a book, a proven playbook for how to trade your time and talent for tech equity. I have been inspired by Rich Dad, Poor Dad and the way that it gave a concept to the world of how do you think about liabilities and assets. I thought the cash flow quadrant was very impactful to the community of financially focused technology employees. I want to deliver a book that is similar to Robert Kiyosaki's book, but also different. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a book that I love. I definitely recommend. However, I make sure and add in a caveat for everyone today that says, when you get through reading this book, you're going to wish that there was then the how-to at the end, the breakdown, the instruction manual. And you want to know something? It's not there. It's not. There is not. You have to then go figure that out. And that could arguably be part of my last 20-year journey, was not just figuring out how to work for equity, but then how to go and execute Robert Kiyosaki's plan of being a passive income investor or a private equity investor where my money is scaling for me. My book right now, we're on target to publish it sometime next year because I need to finish it. It's going to be a book of strategies, a number of chapters that are going to cover the high-level concepts like Robert Kiyosaki did in his book. Second half of the book is going to be plays, sets of tactics that you can go execute yourself so that you can, take that book and run with it. It can be your playbook for how do you go and leverage tech equity to build wealth. That's what we wanted to happen. Launch the podcast, video and audio, build the loyal following, finish the book, and launch the meetup. Well, what do we do? Podcast, audio, and video going very, very well. I was not able to make much progress on the book. We had a couple meetings there, but the meetup, we ended up shelving that. There was 70 people that had signed up for the meetup. We'd been in communication with them through some very specific emails. We're going to start getting in front of more audiences. To this point, we've been producing a backlog of content. I have not gone on a podcast tour. I haven't done as much speaking as I usually do throughout the year at this point in time. I actually got some television, some press in June. Somebody heard about my book and reached out at a television interview. And so I'm going to get in front of more people. I want to let more people know what we're doing at Tech Career and Money Talks and be able to bring people in so that they can understand that there is a home here for them when you want to talk about career and money, how it all works together for financially focused technology employees. There's a place for you. It's important to understand that we're not just building products, we're starting a movement. And so this is where we're going to start shaping a broader set of products around Tech Careers and Money, which is our parent brand. We have Tech Careers and Money Talk, but then we're going to be layering on some additional brands, some additional ways that we can bring this education to people going forward. So that's what we're going to start doing. If you go on to Apple, I think it's 4.9. There are some people that gave us some, lower star reviews. They didn't write anything, didn't give us anything of value. I don't know why or where. What's more important is what people are writing. Things like, finally, there's a place where we can have this conversation about career and money and how it's all supposed to work. When I get those emails, I answer those emails. I answer those emails with looms and I get feedback. Well, thank you. I didn't think about it that way. Like, we're starting to ramp up people being aware of the fact that we can get uncomfortable and we can have these conversations. I started this podcast because I wanted to create something for my past self, for my peers' past self, where we were starving for this information. We were starving to have the opportunity to connect with other executives, other successful entrepreneurs, other private equity investors, to ask these questions and say, how does this all work? Puzzle pieces were on the table. Okay, I can go get some equity, I can make some real wealth, and I could potentially get it to work for me so that then I can own my time and I can choose, do I want to work for somebody else? Do I want to work for myself? Do I not want to work at all? I can make these decisions, but I didn't know how. And I have to say that the inspiration for this podcast came from a conversation that I had with a woman probably about 2 years ago. I was still working in tech, but I was also growing my private equity company, and we had an open investment, and I was in the Bay Area. We're sitting down having coffee, and she hadn't heard of these different types of investments, and she'd been creating some equity, and we just sat down and just had a conversation, and I just explained to her. I wasn't giving her advice by any means. I was just explaining how everything worked. Here's the bigger picture of how you take equity. Yeah, you want to diversify. Strategic advice is to then take portions of that, turn that into private equity where you get income from that, you get checks, you can start replacing in your paycheck and just started mapping this out. And when she walked away, the thing that she said to me was, sometimes it just takes a single conversation to change your life.